And happy Tuesday. My name is Wendy Lee, and you can find me at CreativeLeeYours.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US and thrilled that you're joining me today for our paper crafting fun. Yay, 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 yay. So if you are watching this video when it premieres, today is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Oh my goodness. Time goes by so quickly. Lots going on in the studio, of course. Always a lot going on in the studio. So we are in our final 2 weeks of the month. I can't believe it already. But the end color sale is going strong, and you've got 2 more weeks to take advantage of it. So that is our 2025-2027 end colors. You can get most of the products 15% off this month. So definitely a great time to grab Secret Sea, Cloud Cover, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, and my returning favorite, Strawberry Slush. Yes, I think Secret Sea is my favorite. Which one's yours? You should tell me. All right. You also have a few spots left on my bingo card class. So I've got registration open for my bingo card class. The project we're doing today is going to use some of the same products, not the cards we're doing, but the same products. So yeah, so if you want in on that, definitely sign up sooner rather than later because there's just a few spots left. And then, of course, we've got demonstrator pre-order going on. So if you are not yet a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and would like to get your hands on these goodies early, so many good things being released in September, join my Diamonds team. We'd love to have you as part of our crafting community. If you have any questions, send me a message. Let's get on a chat, right? I'm happy to help. So, and I'd love to have you as part of that closer community, right? Let's see, what else? Really, the best way to stay up to date with everything is to be on my email list. Yep, that's it. I send a free PDF tutorial every single month to my email subscribers, and it is packed full of fantabulous projects that you can recreate at home using your crafty stash. Yes, yes. I love being able to provide that service for those that are supporting me. So if you're not yet on the email list, expand the video description and click that link and join me. All right. Let's go ahead and get ready for today's crafty fun. All right, so for today's project, we are using the Label Me Grateful stamp set. I love this one. It is from our online exclusives. There is a die set that goes along with this, although we're not using it for today's project. This is actually a super simple card, but has a stunning, stunning technique on it. And we are also pulling in this amazing sunflower 3D embossing folder. This one's gorgeous. Wait till you see what we're making. So I'm going to do this one right here. So we are actually going to learn, if you don't already know this one, the black ice technique. So the camera doesn't do it justice. Like when you see this in person, it is just fantastic. So I can't wait to show you guys this one. Now, the Label Me Grateful and this sunflower embossing folder that we're using are some of the products we're going to be using in my upcoming Stamping Bingo card class. So if you've not joined us for bingo before, I do have a few spots left. I'd love for you to join us for that. That is taking place on September, I want to say the date wrong, probably the 13th, whatever that Saturday is. So hopefully you'll join us where we're going to be combining those products as well. So I've got a little sneak peek of some upcoming products. So this layer here, this foil that we're using, so this is the earthen toned foil, and this is one of the products that's going to be released in September. So as a demonstrator, we can get our hands on those now. Yes, we can. So one of the cool perks about being a demonstrator. And then this designer paper that I'm pulling in as well is one of the new ones that's coming out called Gathering Together. So yes, all good stuff, right? So if I didn't say so already, you can find the complete supply list and cut dimensions on my website. The blog post has gone live at the time that this video is premiering, but I will tell you there's no links. You'll have item numbers and names for the upcoming products, but there won't be links for those because you cannot purchase those yet, right? I forgot to mention the dots are also a sneak peek of upcoming things. So we can mix and match existing products and brand new products. So let's do the technique first. I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper, just because I am going to be using some Stays On permanent ink. So this is a scrap. It's got something on the other side. I save that kind of stuff and use it for scrap paper for crafting. I'm just going to bring in some painter's tape. If you need painter's tape, you can get this in so many places, but I do have it in my favorite things in my Amazon shop. So if you need that, you can grab that. So I am going to actually tape down, if I can get my tape going here. I'm just going to grab a piece off here and I'm just going to loop it around, right? And I'm going to put it on the back of this layer. Now, I'm doing this because I want this to stay in place and I don't want it to slide on me because this can be a little bit messy, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Jet Black Stays On ink. So this is a permanent ink, and I'm going to drag it down my layer. So light pressure, heavy pressure, you have to kind of gauge it depending on what your pad is doing, how dry it is, but you're wanting to put basically black streaks throughout it. And I think it is the coolest to do this. So this doesn't look, you're like, what are you doing? You're ruining the foil. No, I'm not. It's actually just amazing what it does. So you can put as much or as little black as you want. Now I know this is hard to see on the video to see what I've got. So let's see if I can lift this up and angle that a little differently. So can you see the black? So I've got it a little heavier in the center, a little more on the edges, and then a few streaks down in the middle. Should we do a little bit more? Should we? Let's do a few more streaks, right? See if I can get some, yeah, a little more defined streak. I'm angling my pad just a little bit different to get some of these a little more streaky. And my pad might be a little bit dry. I didn't check that, right? But it's okay. It doesn't have to look pretty. You're just wanting to get the effect. Now you want to let this completely dry before you do the next step. So you can use a heat tool if you want. I don't like to do that. I like to just let it sit and dry, and then we'll go to the next step. So once you feel that the Stays On is nice and dry, pull in a Versamark pad. Now, this one is my yucky one. It's old, and I use this for crazy techniques. So this is a perfect time to pull in my kind of gross Versamark pad. Now, I want to do the same thing. I want to drag the Versamark pad across here, and it's going to stick, right, as you drag it. And you do want it to be streaky. I found that this technique actually looks best if the Versamark and the Stays On is pretty streaky. So I've dragged that across there. The next thing I want to do is I want to emboss this with clear embossing powder. So I'm going to bring in my clear embossing powder. Let's go ahead and lift the tape on this because we are not going to need that anymore. So let's get rid of the tape on the sides of the paper. I'm going to leave it on the paper just because this can be a little bit messy. Now, this is a technique you definitely don't need to use your embossing buddy because we don't care really where our embossing powder sticks to, right? So let's get this all on here. So this is clear embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle it right over the top of this layer. I'm going to be pretty generous with it, right? And I'll pour it back into my container when I'm done, but I want it to cover this layer. And it's going to stick wherever it wants to stick, right? I don't really care about that part of it. So we're just going to kind of slide it around. And then I'm going to see if I can dump my excess back in here. Maybe. Now it looks like I got pretty good coverage. So I'm going to flip this over and see if I can tap some of that off as well. There you can see my scrap paper. Okay, so I've got some of that off. So I actually got a lot more Versamark on there than I had intended to, but that's okay. We're going to go with this. It's going to have places that are heavier and places that are lighter as far as the depth of where the powder is sticking. So anytime you use your heat tool, I highly recommend heating it up before you take it to your papers. This way you're going to have less time exposure on your paper and less distortion on the paper itself than if you were to go in with a cold tool. So I'm going to hold this above my paper about an inch and a half away, and I'm going to work my way across the layer, melting that powder. Now, clear powder is super easy to see in this technique when it's done, which is great, right? What makes it lots easier to do. So again, we're going to work our way across the layer, getting all of that melted. So the black ice technique I actually learned, and I think she was the creator of it. My friend Melissa Kerman, who is also a fellow North Carolinian. If you are from the South or have spent any time in the South, we have what we call black ice in the winter. We have asphalt roads for the most part, and we get a lot of what we call black ice, which is when you have the freezing rain on the roads and you can't tell sometimes that they're slick. So they're actually pretty dangerous, but I love that she created a technique out of it. So here you go. So can you see the fabulousness of this? So you could have stamped on this layer your image, right? And you know, had that black image in there as well, which is very, very cool. I didn't want to do that. I'm going to take this the next step. So you can use this as is, right? Like this is an amazing background layer as it is, but I'm going to actually remove it from my scrap paper that's going to be thrown in the trash. And I am going to put it inside that sunflower embossing folder. Let's just remove this tape off of there. So I'm going to put this inside of this sunflower embossing folder. And again, I love this one. And you can kind of choose where you want the embossing to be, right? Like, do you want it, you want to have a big focal point on there? Or do you want to slide it over more so you get more of this? Or do you want to slide it over there a little bit more? I think I'm going to change this one up a little different than the original. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to go run this through the die cutting machine to emboss it. All right, so the big reveal. Let's pull this out. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. And I love the detail and the texture that's created by that black ice technique. I hope that you guys can see that and love this and try this as well. All right, so our card itself is going to be pretty simple. We are going to, you know what? I don't know if I told you what the measurement of this was. This is 5 by 3 3/4. We are going to layer this on a 5 1/8 by a 3 7/8 blah, basic black layer. So I'm going to go ahead and use my stamp and seal and put this down on here. Oh, looks like I cut it off a little bit. We're going to leave the wider border. We'll double check our measurements, but I'm going to leave the wider border and see what I've got going on. Maybe my foil was a little bit smaller than what my measurements were on my original. We'll look at it. That's fine. And then I've got my 8.5 by 5.5 Cajun Craze card base. So we'll fold this in half. Give that a good burnishing. Now I want to pop this up on the front of my card base here. So I've got that little bigger of the black layer. So I bet that's 5 by 4 1/4 instead of 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. But that's okay. We're going to leave it. We're going to let it go. Card making is card making. Sometimes we grab what's in our stash and don't always double check it, which is probably what happened here. But I'm not going to cry over it. It's just fine. It will still be fantastic, right? We got it. All right, so I'm going to pop this layer right up on my card front. So you really don't need to do much when you're doing a technique like this. You can use your, make your card bases really basic because it's got so much going on already, right? All right, so now I'm going to bring in, I've die cut using this smallest rectangle here in the textured notes dies, and I've die cut a piece of designer series paper. So this is a new paper that's going to be coming out in September called Gathering Together. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. You will see more of it in our upcoming Cultivated Creativity for September. Registration has not opened up just yet. But it is going to be good. I'm telling you, it's going to be fantastic. So I'm going to grab my embossing buddy and put a generous amount on my paper here since it's a dark color. And I want to make sure that in this instance that my ink only adheres, or my powder only adheres where I stamp my image. So I'm going to bring in this thank you. And it's okay that I'm using my Yucky Versamark, right? Doesn't hurt a thing. Okay, so I've got my thank you stamped. And then we're going to heat emboss this in black. So I'm going to bring in my black powder here. Let's go ahead and just dip this down in both ways. I get a lot of debris in my embossing powders. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do. All right, grab our tweezers just because that's a little bit of a small piece. We're going to grab our heat tool again. I'm going to make sure it's nice and warm again before we take it to our paper. And we'll hold that again about an inch, inch and a half away from our paper and watch the magic happen. And it's going to go faster because we just had our tool on when we did that background technique. So embossing that sentiment goes pretty quickly, right? All right, let's grab that. Put my tweezers away. Now, if you hate the powder haze, right, I have a Swiffer duster right here, and we're just going to use it to get the haze off of our paper, right? So heat embossing, you can touch pretty quickly after you do it. It cools very quickly and sets. So I'm just wiping off my workspace, all the extra powder. So now I've got a beautiful, simple sentiment to put right there on my card front. So let's go ahead and use some Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to pop that up. Of course, if I've got too much popped up for you, you can leave yours flat. I'm doing 3 of them. And I'm not going all the way to the edge because I'm going to have this hang off just a bit. I could have gone a little closer to the edge than I did, but I want it hanging off the edge. I like to cross my layers like that. I think it's kind of fun. Nice. What do you guys think? You like it so far? So the final touch, we're just going to add some of these lovely, they are called street dots. This is also part of this whole gathering together suite that's coming our way in September. Love, 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 love. And let's just put a few of these gems on. Let me grab that one. We'll go in for the Mac Daddy one there. Let's put in a small one next to him. And we could do a small or a large. Let's do another large one. Why not? Since we've got the little whiter layers on this one, I'm going to go large. Nice. Just beautiful, I think. All right, let's finish off our inside. Keeping it super simple, I'm bringing in a piece of 4 by 5 or 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Very Vanilla, and then a little 3/4 inch strip of the Designer Series paper. You see that gold? Very nice, very nice. And I'm going to leave a little white space there. Technically, it's not white, but you know what I mean. Okay, and we're going to put this down. And this will complete our inside. So again, the card itself, super simple. Super, super simple. One that you could do a bunch of, but magnificent with the finished, right? All right, so here they are next to each other. What do you think? Do you love it? Have you tried this technique before? You guys have to tell me if you have or if you haven't. So here it is with the 1/8 inch border because I miscut my black cardstock, or the original intention with the narrow black border. Now I'm a narrow border kind of gal. I like that, but I think they're both equally nice. But you guys have to tell me, what do you like? Do you like the 1/8 inch border or do you like the skinny border on the black? Yeah? All right. If you guys are enjoying the content that I'm sharing with you, please give my channel a thumbs up. It does help me out. And hopefully you'll subscribe as well. And I hope to see you again next Tuesday, and bring your crafty friends with you. I'd love for them to play with us on Tuesdays. All right. Thanks so much, and bye for now.